And moving from espionage concerns in Germany to legal intrigue in Washington, the U.S. Supreme Court has handed Donald Trump a major victory, overturning a Colorado court ruling that barred him from the state's primary ballot. The Supreme Court has said states cannot bar the former president from contesting in the primaries. Now, what does this mean for Trump and his presidential campaign? Our next report gets you all the details.
In a massive victory for Donald Trump amid his compounding legal woes, the U.S. Supreme Court has removed a potential hurdle from his presidential campaign as the former president eyes another run to the White House. The U.S. top court has slammed the door on Colorado's effort to remove Trump from its primary presidential ballot. Citing the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, the court ruled that only the Congress has the power to strike the former president from ballot. The court didn't opine on whether Trump engaged in insurrection on January 6, 2021. It didn't even discuss whether the attack on the U.S. Capitol by Trump supporters constituted an insurrection or not. And neither did it delve into whether presidents are specifically exempt from the 14th Amendment's insurrection language. The 14th Amendment bars office holders engaging in insurrection from holding the office. All that the court focused on was which authorities have the power to enforce the insurrection provision, which in this case, the court said was the Congress. So, with a closely divided Senate and a Republican-controlled House, the chances of Trump being ruled ineligible under the 14th Amendment are essentially nil.
Thank you very much. I want to start by thanking the Supreme Court for its unanimous decision today. It was a very important decision. We're very well crafted, and I think it will go a long way toward bringing our country together, which our country needs. And they worked long, they worked hard, and frankly, they worked very quickly on something that will be spoken about 100 years from now and 200 years from now. Extremely important. Essentially, you cannot take somebody out of a race because an opponent would like to have it that way. And it has nothing to do with the fact that it's the leading candidate, whether it was the leading candidate or a candidate that was well down on the totem pole. You cannot take somebody out of a race. The voters can take the person out of the race very quickly, but a court shouldn't be doing that, and the Supreme Court saw that very well.
Last year, the Colorado top court found Trump engaged in an insurrection and ruled that he was ineligible to appear on the state's ballot. Now, the Supreme Court ruling sidesteps some of the biggest political landmines in the case. It also dismisses challenges for Trump in other states. Both Maine and Illinois also moved to take Trump off the ballot. After the ruling, Trump accused Biden of weaponizing and using prosecutors and judges against him.
I will say that President Biden, number one, stop weaponization. Fight your fight yourself. Don't use prosecutors and judges to go after your opponent, to try and damage your opponent so you can win an election. Our country is much bigger than that. The other thing I say to President Biden, close the borders now. This is not sustainable for our country. It's not sustainable for our cities. Our country is under siege.
Both Maine and Colorado, along with 14 other states, are voting in primaries in a marathon contest. And Trump's legal victory came just ahead of Super Tuesday, where the former president is expected to sweep and defeat his sole remaining but distant opponent, Nikki Haley, in every battleground.
From impeachments to inaugurations, if it's a political story, we are on the scene. The race for the White House is heating up.
We're beating Biden.
How dare he say that?
If it's breaking news, we're live with the latest coverage. From the White House, the State Department, and Capitol Hill, we know the issues, but above all, we know the players to bring you the latest in-depth analysis on all the key stories that we're covering. I'm Eric Ham. Join me from Washington here on Firstpost America.